Hello everyone, my name is Phil Sturpey. I just wanted to show you an interesting error that I had today and a solution that I discovered. I was delivering a demo on an MVC3 course to do with areas, and I created a project and I just selected Internet Application, and I just wanted to show my delegates how areas worked and how they affected the routes. And what I did to demonstrate it was I right clicked on the project to create an area. So I right clicked and I added an area, and I decided to call it domestic because a scenario I dreamt up was that an application might want to be broken down by domestic functionality and international functionality. So let me put the other area in as well. So there's domestic. I'll just put in another one called international. Let me add, and that was okay. That was fine. And then I came to domestic and created a new controller, and I named that one sales controller, and I hit add. So far so good. And in there I decided I was going to create a view, so I right clicked on the action in the controller in Visual Studio and said add a view, and created a view. And then finally, just so the delegates would know it when they saw it, I just updated this heading in here and said index from domestic sales controller. And then I hit F5 and I ran the project. Up came the page that was created for me by Visual Studio, and I then updated the URL at the top to put in the appropriate path using areas. So that would be domestic/sales/index, and as expected I got the right view. Superb. And I've been doing that demo day in, day out, well maybe not day in, day out, but very regularly for over a year. Today, however, I was delivering it to a group of VB developers. So if I just create a new project, I did exactly the same thing, but this time I went for VB. So let me call this one areas demo VB. Hit OK. And then once the thing was built out, I did exactly the same thing here that I did before. So that would be add an area, and I will call it domestic. And added another one, right click areas, and add one called international. Incidentally, this second area is irrelevant. I went to the domestic and I created a controller and I called it sales controller. Clicked add, and in the sales controller I right clicked the action, and said I want to add a view, which it did for me. And then I came along here and did what I did before, so that was index from domestic sales index. That was controller, excuse me. Doesn't matter, it's not going to work anyway. That was fine, and I confidently pressed F5, ran the application, and then once it launched I updated the URL to say domestic/sales/index, pressed enter, and it didn't work. Disaster. 404. The routes could make no sense of that whatsoever. It could not find a domestic sales index. Now I did spend some time hunting around the routes to make sure they were working. Everything was as it was. It took me a while, but eventually I discovered that when I looked inside the sales controller at the namespace, all that we had in here was areas demo VB. I spun up a C# one, which you don't have to hand, but in the C# one we had the fully qualified namespace. In other words, it's areas demo VB dot areas dot controllers. I think I missed a bit out there. I did, didn't I? Domestic controllers And so I ran the app. And then when it launched, I just came in and updated the URL, domestic sales index, and it worked. How strange was that? And so because Visual Studio didn't put in the namespace explicitly in the way that C# does, the action invoker was unable to resolve the action. Now there are other ways in which you can inform the project of the location of the classes, but for now that did the job. So something to be aware of. So in MVC projects under VB, watch your namespaces or your action invoker won't be able to locate the action. Well, that's it. I hope you found this video useful. I plan to release more videos on all things Visual Studio related, and that could include MVC, WPF, Windows 8 development, WCF and so on. I'll see you next time.